Clean, fresh, and pleasing fragrances should greet potential buyers as they enter a home featured in an open house. Here are my top 5 fragrances, counting up from 5 to my favorite number 1, plus a few tips on how to make use of fragrance most effective in showcasing your property for sale. Number 5, starting off, is fresh baked goods. Fresh baked goods are typically bread's a favorite, puts out a nice pleasing aroma. You can also make cookies, muffins, cupcakes, pies, cakes, whatever can put out a fragrance that you find pleasing. The thing to remember though is once you make something like that, some of the guests may be expecting you to serve it, so be prepared to make extra. Number 4, formulated fragrances. These are typically combinations of various scents that are formulated to evoke a particular emotional/physical response. In this case, I'll give as an example the Ispa soothing candle. If I was going to use another word, I might say relaxing, because the fragrance of this candle definitely does that. You may find that there's one that you like, suits your property. Consider a formulated fragrance that is not just limited to one scent. Number 3 on my list, spices. Vanilla is by far the most popular. Cinnamon is also popular. Try any spice that you feel matches your home and provides a good, pleasing aroma for your open house guests. Number 2, citrus. By far the most popular citrus scent is lemon, followed by orange, grapefruit, and a few others. Just make sure if you do use a citrus scent that you don't use it in such a strong application that it smells like cleaning fluid. And my number 1 recommendation for open house fragrances, something natural from the local area. If you're in the woods, you might want to consider pine or cedar, perhaps a wildflower scent from around that area. If you're near the beach, maybe the smell of the beach, the smell of the ocean, anything that connects the home to the local area in a positive and pleasing way. Once we've chosen our fragrance, getting that fragrance into the home and getting it evenly distributed shouldn't be that hard or expensive. First thing we can do is, if we're fortunate enough to live in an area where there's a lot of clean air, and that clean air contains some of the fragrances that we would like to have in the house, all we need to do is open a few windows, let in that nice fresh air. The second thing we can do, of course, is to burn candles. Once we find one with our chosen fragrance, we'll put a few around the house. Don't need to have one in every room. And light them at least a half an hour prior to the open house to make sure we get even distribution of the fragrance throughout. The next thing we can do is use reed diffusers. Here's a picture of one. Those simply work by having a liquid version of our fragrance in the base of the vase, and we put in the reeds. The reeds basically suck the liquid up to the top of the reed and diffuse it out into the air. These take a little bit more time, so you might want to put those diffusers out actually 1 to 2 days before your open house to make sure the fragrance is well distributed. The next thing you might want to do is consider a plug-in diffuser. These come in a lot of different scents. You can find them at most hardware stores or home stores, and just plug it in the socket. Like candles, you don't need to have one in every room, just strategically around the house. Most of them have now reusable pods that you can put on them, so that even if you have multiple open homes, you can use that socket over and over again, but just refill it each time with a little scent pod. And they're very cost effective. And the last thing, of course, is if you are going to bake something, or you're going to maybe warm something on top of the stovetop, you can use the oven and the stove. However, make sure that before the open house starts that you've cleaned it all up so it doesn't look cluttered. A few cautions about using fragrance to enhance the atmosphere of your open house. First, don't use the fragrance at such a strength that it becomes distracting or overwhelming, and therefore actually becomes unpleasant for your guests. The second thing is make sure that you use a fragrance that is appropriate for your location and for your decor, such as if you happen to be on a California coastal property, you might not want to use pine scent when there's no pine trees in the area. You might find a beach scent that's more appropriate. Make sure you don't create a fire hazard with your candles. If they have done their job and infused the fragrance throughout the house in order to avoid children or mischievous adults from messing with the candles, causing that fire hazard, you might want to put those candles out, put them away during the open house, as long as they've already done their job of putting out the fragrance. If you've used the stovetop or any other part of the kitchen to prepare a fragrance, you might want to make sure that you've decluttered that stovetop and put everything away after the fragrance has also been distributed. It's important that we don't use our open house fragrance to cover up problems that exist in the house and are causing unpleasant odors. If we have a sewer line leak or dry rot or mold or anything else that could be causing a smell problem inside the house, it's better to fix it before the open house and not attempt to cover it up. I hope you found this information interesting and helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. This is John at Cordon Real Estate, and I will see you again soon.